Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast, a podcast where we invite you to be a part of their world. We're your hosts, Jared and James, and today we are joined by Adara. We are talking about the road to Gen Con, so without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another week. Last week, we waxed nostalgic as we shared a timeline of events leading us to the present moment. So if you haven't had a chance to go listen to that, make sure to go back and catch it. And today we have Adara with us to discuss the road to Gen Con. Hey, Adara.
Hey guys, happy to be here again.
Yeah, absolutely. And today, for everybody listening, you are in for a treat because you are going to hear less of me and more of Adara.
Well, now the phrase road to Gen Con does ring a bell, and it's because today's guest did a whole series on his podcast titled The Road to Gen Con. So today we are pleased to have on the one and only Leebarbs, aka Shawn.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
All right. So you're gonna be hearing a bunch of us, right? And hopefully more of Shawn, Leebarbs, and Adara, but not much of Jared because he's feeling a little under the weather. So what else are we going to be talking about, Adara?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about mainly Shawn's road to Gen Con and picking his brain since we've got to hear a lot about his guests as well. But with that, we can go ahead and jump right in. So, Shawn, we've obviously been really focused on the event schedule for Gen Con since that's been released last week. It's been the main thing on a lot of our minds for those of us who are going to Gen Con. But you've been doing this podcast series for leading up to Gen Con for a long time now. Can you tell us a little bit more about what inspired that series?
Absolutely. So this is my first year attending, much like it is a lot of the people that I've interviewed and other people in the community. I felt very unprepared when we knew that Lorcana was going to be there. It was going to be the first real big showing. I wanted to make sure that not only myself but all the other newbies out there had a resource to listen to some people either in the same boat that they are or a little more experienced. And I think that I know I've learned a lot talking to the people that I have over the podcast, and I really hope that anybody out there listening has gotten at least a couple of good pointers.
I would bet. I mean, you can't have multiple people on with either who are doing the same investigating as you, but first timers, but also some experienced people that you can't help but get a lot of tips about what's going to happen. And one of my favorite parts was when you asked the question, what is one thing you can't live without at the convention? And it was pretty easy to tell who the newbies are versus the experts, but did anything surprise you?
Uh no, I don't think I got too surprised by any of the can't live without. I know there was a lot of water bottles that people want to stay hydrated. I know some people brought up snacks, hand sanitizer. Actually, I think might have been the only one that kind of I hadn't thought about it. Is the only reason it surprised me because I didn't think about the fact that you're going to be playing games with lots of people and that you're manipulating a lot of cards and or pieces, lots of handshakes as well. I would assume will happen, high fives. So yeah, that might, as far as surprises, I think that might have been the most surprising thing.
Yeah,
I will say
as,
for me, after getting sick at Gamma, I am all on board with this hand sanitizer thing.
Yeah, and I got sick after Gamma as well, and it was you put us in a room with a bunch of people, somebody in there is gonna be sick probably, and it's gonna start spreading around. It's
true.
It's why they have a thing called con crud. You come home from a convention and you feel like crud.
Yeah, I think it was Geo in the most recent episode you recorded, Shawn, who mentioned the hand sanitizer. I was like, gem of knowledge
Yeah,
from Geo.
seriously.
And honestly, so as mentioned in the past, I cover San Diego Comic-Con, and a lot of people there have still. Last year they didn't have a mask rule, but a lot of people still did, and a lot of people came away from the show saying that even though they weren't required, they wore them, and they came away from Comic-Con not getting sick for like one of the first times ever. So that's another reason maybe to also bring a mask for some of those really densely populated parts, so you don't get sick. It's not even, I'm sure there's all kinds of other issues people have with masks and political issues, but all that aside, you might be able to come home from a convention without con crud if you take some preventative measures.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense to me. Absolutely. I do plan to bring one or two just in case, even though it's not enforced. I don't know what my comfort level will be once I'm there in the thick of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Everyone has a different level, so you definitely be prepared. I think that probably, that might have been one of the best things you can do when doing this kind of thing, is just to get it into people's heads to start thinking about it before you get there.
Definitely. I know I'm planning on having a couple of extras as well. So what was your biggest Gen Con takeaway from doing these interviews, Shawn?
My biggest Gen Con takeaway, I realized that I figured everybody was there just, I need to get my hands on Lorcana product as early as possible, stuff like that. But come to find out, everybody's really, I feel like we're all more excited to see each other and to finally meet each other. All of these people that we have built these strong bonds with over the past however long it's been, like 7-8 months or something like that. I'm bad with time. But I've made some incredibly good friends. I'm sure you all have as well. And that was my biggest takeaway, is that this is more of a gathering for Lorcana HQ than it is something else at this point. I mean, going and playing, going in, getting product, maybe getting a sneak peek at Ryan or Steve, those are all great, but I think everybody's most excited about seeing each other.
So if you've been in the HQ Discord server, you've noticed that I've bandied around the idea of reserving a restaurant just for like a meetup. I guess restaurants don't really do reservations around Gen Con time, but for that exact same reason, I've had so many people through Twitter and through Discord be like, hey, we should meet up while we're there. And instead of coordinating schedules with 50 different people, I was like, it'd be so nice to have one time where it could be like, hey, let's all go do this. But I think that's kind of why we wanted to make, because well, we'll talk about this later, but we're being roomies, and that's one of the reasons why we kind of wanted to make our room Lorcana Central while the con's not going.
Yeah, it's gonna be our room is gonna be a madhouse, I think, especially like before and after the con hours. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm already prepared for it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So we're gonna flip the script a little bit, and we're gonna ask you, since you are actually going to Gen Con, tell us what you are doing to prepare.
The first thing that I did to prepare was as soon as we heard word that Gen Con was going to be, or Lorcana was going to be at Gen Con rather, I made sure to get my paid time off in. That is definitely something you don't want to wait till the last minute to do. And besides that, I've done the Gen Con series, which it's still going. I did start my new series on Uncommon Cardboard, but I do have a couple of last minute guests for the road to Gen Con, so it is an ongoing series. Saving money everywhere I can. I've been holding off on my favorite pastime, which is cracking booster packs in a dark parking lot of a big box store. I don't get to do that as much anymore. But yeah, basically I've absorbed everything that everybody has said on Common Cardboard, and I have adjusted my plans accordingly.
I think the other thing we're doing now to prepare is now that we know the starter deck tournament's going to happen, we're all preparing for that.
Very much so.
So it's like you use the podcast as your personal information gathering device.
there, and I will admit there was a little bit of selfishness in there. Honestly, absolutely, I was definitely part of the impetus behind the series was to help myself very much, but I knew it was going to help others, and I'm glad that it has helped others as much as it has helped me.
And it's something that has happened, I'm guessing, many times in the past. The current editor-in-chief and owner of the unofficial blog for Comic-Con, she started by sending information to the guy who did own it back like a decade ago. And when she just kept sending stuff to him, he's like, hey, do you want to just come on and help?
That's
because
awesome.
She wanted that data for
Right.
herself. So she was just kept sending it in. And she was like, just come on and do it. And so everyone else can take advantage of all the work you're doing. And
That's
now
awesome.
now she owns it and runs the blog, which is,
Wow.
it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's definitely the selfishness in there isn't really selfishness. It's just wanting the information so that it can help you and as many other people as possible to have a great convention.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate being able to glean information from the podcast as well.
So I heard that you got stuck with some lousy roommates, Shawn. How do you plan on handling this situation?
Well, it's quite the wild bunch. It's gonna be a wild time. So for those of you that out there that don't know, I was lucky enough to get with Jared. I'm gonna be rooming with Jared and my very good friend that I'm bringing with me, Eddie. He is kind of my de facto helper slash cameraman slash whatever when we're going down there. He loves TCGs and tabletop RPGs and all those things. So he's very much going to have a great time too, but he's going to thankfully dedicate a little bit of his time to specifically helping me, which I'm very grateful for. And then Teddy and Spencer from the Glimmer Gang are also going to be rooming with us. So we're rolling 5 deep.
It's going to be a packed house, that's for sure.
And from what I understand, you snore and I snore, so I don't know if the other guys are getting much sleep that weekend.
But would they really honestly be getting sleep anyway?
Probably not. Probably
or
not.
Are you going to be playing card games until 4 a.m. and then be like, oh, everybody go shower real quick. We got to go hit in line again.
Yep. Honestly, that's probably more of an accurate description of what'll happen.
See, and I'm not a night owl. I wasn't sure how I'd handle this, but when we were at Gamma, I stayed up till 2:00 both mornings. So there's potential there.
I think it's gonna be extra rough on you because of the time change. You both, I believe, are off closer to the West Coast, yeah. See, so that's gonna be rough on you guys, but I think the excitement and the adrenaline will carry you through.
Yeah, I hope so.
And it doesn't particularly help that you guys have an awesome room close to the convention center either.
We're so lucky. We're so very lucky. I would like to see, once we get to the room, I really hope that it has a view of the convention center. That would be really fun. But no matter what, it's a great position to be in.
Definitely.
The fact that it's connected by Skywalk, and for those of you who don't know, like the hotel's on one side of the street, and then there's like like a bridge that's covered that goes from the hotel to the convention center. And I hear that it's really hot in the summertime in Indianapolis. So it's going to be really nice to not have to step outside. Oh, such first world problems here. But I'm just saying, it's like really nice that we are like, it's so convenient. So convenient.
Trust me, you do not want to get out in the heat during a convention as often as is humanly possible. It is no fun having to lug stuff around if you're carrying stuff. If you are in a rush and you have to like really walk fast or even run when you're outside and it's hot, I mean, it is. And then you spend the rest of the day just feeling like crap, basically, because you got all sweaty and tired. And I mean, it is no fun. So that little bit of convenient of where you can stay inside as much as possible is pretty cool. So, do whatever you can to stay cool in that, because it's going to be hot and muggy, I'm guessing.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah. Seems likely.
Yeah. Stay indoors.
We would like to not have to smell every single person that is around us. That is for sure.
Oh, goodness,
we call it the essence of Comic-Con.
The essence. That's perfect.
That's hilarious. Well, the thing that everybody is talking about right now is those starter deck tournaments and that mystery final tournament. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. So what are you doing to prepare to top 8 in one of the initial tournaments? And what do you think that mystery event final tournament is?
Oh, see, this is it right here. I honestly I was blown away when the events went live, when we could finally see the event catalog. It blew me away that there was so much that Lorcana is doing. I don't think anybody expected it to be to have that many demos along with 8 tournaments technically. I don't think anybody was expecting all of that. I certainly wasn't. So I have been preparing. I have a bit of a competitive mind when it comes to TCGs. That's where my heart is. I like to uh, flex my skills and see how good I am. I love the strategy of it. It's just a blast. So I have been preparing by playing many TTS games. So yeah, I've been racking up hours on there. Right now, the smart money is on practicing with the decks that you saw at Gamma, the ones that you guys got to play with there. I think that's where the smart money is right now, since that is the quote unquote closest to what we have to what the actual starter decks will look like.
Well,
Not
when we were
including-
there, they said that those were the pared down starter decks. So I think
See,
that
there we go.
assessment's pretty
Exactly.
accurate.
I love that. I love that. I like that they did that, because they could have just mishmashed and put whatever they wanted together for that event. But that's really cool to see that they let you guys get hands on with a product that is that close to something that's going to hit the streets here in August, September. But yeah, I've been just practicing as much as I can. I do a lot of talking with the people on the Discord, and I glean as much information as I can from their findings as well. Um, and then as far as what the mystery event will be, oh my gosh, I have had so many different theories on this. I know a lot of people are thinking it could be draft, because I believe that it was stated at one point that Lorcana, they're testing the draft format or a way to do draft format. I would be really happy to see um like a mock constructed tournament, where it would be like you have access to like they'll give us like lists basically, and you go through and you check them off uh to build a deck to play against the other top eight winners throughout the 7 tournaments that are preceding it. That all kind of hinders on if we have the entire deck or the entire set lists and everything by that time. If we don't, then I don't think that's going to happen. Because it's a mystery, it's going to be something big. It's going to be something flashy. It's not just going to be like, hey, here's 2 starter decks, put them together. It's not going to be something as simple as that, I don't think.
Well, my pet theory is that it's going to be a multiplayer format, like have 64 players.
Completely forgot it, but that is another one of the big money ideas out there, is that it'll be multiplayer format, which I could easily see that as well. We have seen just playing the multiplayer format, it's amazing, and it's everything we wanted out of a multiplayer format, I think, for a game just starting out, and I think they're nailing it.
And they're really proud of this multiplayer format.
It's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the schedule because I'm not going to Gen Con. Is the final tournament, is it much longer than the other?
No, it's only 4 hours, I believe.
So they're all 4 hours?
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds right to me.
Okay. So are they doing, if they're 4 hours, are they doing more than 2 a day?
I think it's like 2, 3, 3. I think it's 2 on Thursday, 3 on Friday, 3 on Saturday.
That's some long days for
those are long days.
So it's 2 on Thursday, 3 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then the final on Sunday.
That's what it is.
All right.
I'm not good with the numbers sometimes.
I got you.
Much appreciated.
So, all right. So you say you're going to be doing other things that people are going, not just, and you said that part of it is just being all together. So part of it is you're going to get to meet Jared. You're sharing.
Yes. Very, very excited for this.
Part of the plan is to teach him Commander.
Yes.
The Commander version of Magic the Gathering, which we'll see how Jared does. Now he does well when it's not something where, like, in his story of the Star Wars collectible card game where people did not help him. So having someone help him, I think he'll appreciate that. Otherwise, you just throw him into the wolves. That would be fun as well, especially if you film it. But
Right.
besides teaching Jared Commander, which I think is going to be a blast, what other things are on your radar for Gen Con?
Yeah, I got to do a little digging into the event catalog. So I am hopefully going to be able to go and play a little bit of the now defunct Transformers trading card game.
Oh yeah.
Some of the people on here have heard me talk a little bit about it. It was very near and dear to my heart when it was out. I love anything big fighting robots. I'm in. You've got me. So you gave me a TCG with that, and then you ripped it out of my hands. So I'm still a little bitter over that, especially the way they did it. I don't know, anybody out there that played the TCG knows. We had the new set that they just revealed, and then 3 days later, like 2 or 3 days later, they said game's dead. Bye guys. It was really and we were all really hoping for the new, really happy for the new set. It looked amazing. It was going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to playing in some of that. I know that there are I think it's called Real Dungeon, I believe it's what I've heard it called.
Brew Dungeon.
Brew Dungeon.
Yeah, that one. That one sounds like a really good bit of fun. That, and then exploring, and I do want to try to do a little bit of the content creator thing, because I think most of you already know I am going to Gen Con with a press pass. I was lucky enough to be selected to get one of those, so
Nice.
doing a little bit of work too.
Yes, always got to put in a little bit of work when they say
Absolutely.
So speaking of other trading cards, now I don't know if we have official word on it yet, but with the announcement of the new Star Wars trading card game, Unlimited, is that something that interests you if they bring it there in checking it out, or is that like not on your radar really?
I'm a Star Wars fan from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So I will definitely be looking into it. I don't know that I'll main it or anything like that. I might pick some up depending on the kind of product, starter deck, something like that, because most of my friends are also avid Star Wars fans, and we do a weekly commander / board game night. So that would be great to bring to one of those nights, I think, to have just a little bit of fun with the guys.
Yeah.
But it looks interesting. I'm very interested in it.
All right, Shawn. So I have a couple more questions for you about Gen Con predictions. So let's start with, do you think there will be promos for Lorcana there?
I do not personally think that we will have promos. If we do see promos, I could see them as pricing for the mystery event. Just to keep it at a much smaller number than they would need if they were trying to give them out, say, at the booth. And the only reason I think that it's less than likely that we'll see promos is I don't think that Ravensburger wants to see a repeat of what happened with the D23 cards. I think it's pretty unanimous. Everybody believes those prices got pretty out of hand pretty quickly and have stayed that way. And I know that Ravensburger, that's the furthest thing from what they want, especially from the actual release of their game. So I don't think, if we do, like I said, mystery tournament prizing, I think that'd be about it. Like maybe if you get into the mystery tournament, everybody gets a promo, and that's like your prize for getting in. And then, because I think everybody gets something, I believe the description said, and then if you win, you get more. So,
well, what if it's a non-card prize promo? Like, what if it's a pin? And as a follow-up to your original point, you talked about how the pricing went crazy. If they only had promo prizes for the top 8 finishers, those card prices would go bananas.
Yes, they would. They absolutely would. And the only thing that I think kind of saves it just a little bit is the fact that it will be 8 players that get it and not 8 scalpers. I think that would help the prices. Don't get me wrong. Even people that top 8, everybody likes money and everybody's going through their own situation. So if somebody chose to sell their prize on eBay or wherever, that's up to them, obviously. I just don't think that it would be in such prevalence as it was at D23, because we already know that there were people hiring people to go and stand in line for them at D23 and all sorts of stuff like that. So And I would love seeing pins. I have just recently gotten into collecting Disney pins because of all you guys that collect Disney pins. So everybody out there that collects pins, you started something with me. I just want you to know that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, here I have one, my first one. I'll show you guys. It's from Turning Red.
Nice.
Yep. Very first one, and we're gonna keep it on the shelf next to me, and we're gonna just keep growing that collection. I think Gen Con's a good opportunity for that type of thing. So
Once you've tasted it, there's no going back.
We don't even collect pins, and they just multiply around the house like you wouldn't believe.
yeah, I see a couple pretty ones hanging right behind you, I think.
Yeah, these little ones right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not be upset if there was pins at Gen Con. Let's just say that.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
Those are the kind of things they can do that are really easy to hand out, and people love them, and they're good for giveaways, and they don't have like numbering on them. They're just, and even if it's the Mickey pin that they've already handed out, a lot of people will be really happy to get something like that. So it's something that would be easy to do, and just have someone like at the end of the booth just hand them out as people walk by.
Absolutely.
So something we hadn't talked specifically about yet, but in the event listings for the tournament on Gen Con's website, they only list 59 tickets available in each of the 7 starter tournaments. So why do you think that there's only 59 spots available for those tournaments instead of, say, like 64 or something like that?
So going into this, I had actually been thinking about this question specifically quite a bit because it's kind of a mystery. It's not common practice for this to happen, in my experience, at the very least. I was thinking that they could do some sort of lottery or raffle at the booth itself, but that presents problems. The 9 a.m. Thursday tournament, you wouldn't be able to do anything for that one. And also, how do you get a hold of that person? Like, accurately get a hold of that person. Like, you could be like, hey, give us your email address, we'll email you. I'm sure service is going to be spotty there. Not everybody checks their phones all the time. So I'm not sure why. I would like to think that maybe they're just reserving one spot in case, double tickets go out sometimes. They over ticket events, things like of that nature can happen. So I would like to think maybe it's just like a little safe buffer area, but ultimately I'm not actually sure. I think because somebody else brought this up that they're reserving a spot for like a guest player to be there. I don't think that would feel very good to a lot of people because we're all hoping to get into as many of these events as possible, and we are all, I'm sure, very prepared in the fact that we're not getting into all of them we want to be. So just giving away a spot like that to somebody that didn't have to go through the same things that everybody else did, I think that would leave a bad taste in everyone's mouths, personally.
Right. So hear me out.
Yes.
So we know, because he said it, Steve Warner can't wait to play everyone at Gen Con. What if the 60th spot is Steve Warner so he can play everyone and everyone can lose to him, but he's not officially in the tournament, so he just places first every time, but then numbers 2 through 9 are the ones who are the top 8.
I would not be opposed to that because I desperately want to lose to him. So
it was an honor and a privilege.
I believe it.
At Gamma.
Yeah, I hear he does not pull his punches.
He did not. No.
Good.
No. No. It was just like, hey, okay, we're gonna lose. How long is it gonna take?
I just flashed back to that picture of Liam at Gen Con after he drew another coconut basket. The face he was making.
Oh man. No, so that's actually, I think when I saw that, I'm like, is Steve like gonna put himself in every tournament so he can actually play games with everyone? Because I don't think he's gonna find time otherwise.
That's actually a really smart idea. I had not thought of that, honestly. And it did seem, from what I saw from what was going on with you guys at Gamma, it does seem that Ryan might be more of the face of the game, whereas Steve is the, like, maybe the brain, if that makes sense. Obviously, they both put their input, but I also noticed that Ryan seemed to be a lot doing more schmoozing, and Steve seemed to be right there at the tables, like really getting into everybody playing, if that makes sense.
Well, to your point, I remember this was on after James and Liam had left, before Ryan did his second presentation for the premiere presentation. Everybody was asking about Reckless and what the rulings on Reckless were. And so I went up to Ryan and I was like, hey, people in the community have a question about Reckless. I have a question that you might actually be able to answer, because so many times they're like, we can't answer that. Sorry.
Right.
And so I asked him the questions and he's like, well, I think blah, blah, blah. He's like, actually, you know what? That's not really my department. You go talk to Steve. He'd be able to answer you.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, and everybody has their specialties, so it makes sense.
Steve is the player. I mean,
right.
Kind of how I think of him is he's the player.
Right.
He's the guy who loves just playing the game. He, of course, helped create the game, has probably a ton of his fingerprints all over it. And I think Ryan is like the boss. You know, he's the guy who knows everything and has, you know, he's the one who points everyone in the right direction. You do this and you do that. And he's kind of just like the glue that is just making this game move forward from everyone. But I think Steve is definitely the guy who's like just in the weeds of the game itself.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. And I think that they complement each other well. I think that they are a great co-designer team, honestly.
Yeah, I love the idea of Steve being in the tournaments, especially since that I feel like lessens the, like, you could get into the top 8 of the tournament without having that perfect win record if you have Steve in there.
True.
So I do also like it from that perspective. But I mean, seriously, who's going to turn down a chance to play Steve Warner? Like, not very many people.
Not me. Not this guy.
Awesome. So that was our 59 spots for the starter tournaments. Why do you think that it says that there's 64 spots for the final event, but there's only going to be 56 top 8 finishers because there's only 7 starter tournaments listed on the list?
Because Ryan's gonna top 8 7 times. No. Or Steve, I meant. Steve is what I meant to say. Honestly, my pet theory was perhaps they are going to do a put another event up at a later date, like once after the 21st, after Sunday, at noon. Everybody, you know, keep your clocks right for that. But we are gonna see maybe another event added to give more people a chance to get into an event, especially if they hadn't already gotten into one. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a possibility. And for that type of thing right there, for those 8 spots, a raffle type system or a lottery type system at the booth would work for something like that, would work better at the very least.
Yeah, I think it would feel kind of really nice to have an event where everything was sold out in May for August, but then when you get there, you're like, well, I missed out on everything because I didn't know or whatever. You know, people hit the button too fast. So offering 8 spots for some reason, like some kind of, like I said, raffle or giveaway or lottery or whatever, kind of feels nice to reward people who were there and giving a, you know, like you said, a second chance opportunity.
Right.
So that would be
a really cool thing for them to do that would tie into them being to Ravensburger working with Disney is make it a scavenger hunt. Give everybody a little worksheet and have them find hidden Mickeys around Gen Con. Tell me that wouldn't just be fun in and of itself.
That sounds amazing, actually.
We have to be careful of that at Comic-Con because they do not allow scavenger hunts. You have to give it other names in order for it to actually not get tagged.
Okay.
So you have to call it like you know, visit the booths on a some other random name you can come up with, like,
right.
You know, to make it interesting and basically tell people it's a scavenger hunt without saying scavenger hunt.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. Good information to have.
A luminary exploration.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
So for the prizing in the starter deck tournaments, they've already said that the top 8 are going to be receiving playmats. So do you think those playmats are going to be unique ones, or do you think they're just going to be the $20 ones that we've already seen product image for?
I really, really hope that these are specific to the events to commemorate. It's not. It is absolutely anything but unheard of to have championship mats. Everybody does it. Local LGSs do it all the way up through professional events. It's a very common practice, and I think that this would be a great opportunity to I mean, they could still be the same designs we had, the three same designs we have, but just give us a little foil stamp on the corner or something like that, you know? Like that would be more than enough to keep everybody happy, I think. And again, I think if you just even won just a regular playmat, I think you'd be happy with that as well. But that little bit of extra, all of us are collectors. Like as much as a lot of us are players in the scene, we like collecting things too. So I hope that they're special. I really do.
Well, and they've said several times they want to arrive on the scene to let people know that they're taking this trading card game seriously. And I think having those embossed playmats with a champion or top eight, whatever the case may be, that is a sign that they are being serious about the competitive scene. I would 100% agree with you. And that's why I really want to be in the top eight for one of these tournaments.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah, I think if something says that they're in this for the long haul, it's taking those prizing seriously at the beginning at Gen Con. So with prizing at Gen Con, we had already talked a little bit about the finale tournament. You had mentioned, Shawn, that, you know, giving out a promo to those people who top eight to make it into that could be a nice just entry prize, because they did say that. But we don't have any information on what that prizing looks like. Other than like a promo for everybody to get into that, what do you think the prize support will look like in that finale event?
Since they're keeping such tight wraps and they're making such a big deal out of it being a mystery, and I'm pretty sure in parentheses it says "ooh" on the description. So, I would like to think that we're probably going like the people that top in the final one. You're probably going to get anything from a booster box to maybe even like commemorative jacket slash hoodie. I think anything in between there is fair game for something like this, because this is their like this, I feel like this is kind of where they're going to show people that this isn't just another Disney thing to collect. This is a big opportunity for them to show people that, hey, we're a serious TCG. We're here to shake things up a bit. Like I said, my money's on booster boxes, but anything is possible for this tournament, in my opinion.
The grand prize champion of the Gen Con tournament gets a trip to Walt Disney World.
That honestly, like that could be a thing. Like
Right?
I've heard of things that are crazier than that.
You know, they get onto Gen Con TV and they're like, "Hey, you just won the Lorcana tournament. Where are you going now?"
Yep, exactly. I could definitely see that happening. Honestly, I could.
You guys are funny. I was thinking in the My Hero world, they will have promo cards that are just like the normal cards, but they'll have like a winners or champion foil on there. That's what I was thinking would be the mystery prize support. But I just want to circle back to this, Shawn, because you mentioned this in the description for the mystery finale event, how it said mystery prize support. Ooh, like doesn't that just sound like Ryan's voice?
It really does.
Just reading that whole description, I could hear his voice when I was reading that. And maybe it wasn't him, but to me it sounded like him.
I would agree. Spring. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Spring.
Yeah, especially after listening to him at the Q&A and all of that. I mean, yeah, it's totally his voice.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of you guys that got to go and sort of rub elbows with him a little bit and get to know him a little bit better, you know, aside from the like, because I'm sitting here, I feel like I sit here and I just worship this guy that I've never met, you know, these two guys that I've never met, Ryan and Steve both, because they're both amazing in their own rights. But yeah, I can't wait. I hope to say at least thank you at Gen Con. I don't hope for much more than that, because I guarantee he looked like he was busy at Gamma. I can only imagine how busy they're going to be at Gen Con.
Yeah, I picked my spot when it started winding down, before he was too tired and still too busy, I'm like, I got to pick a spot to go chat with him, and I got to talk to him. I think it was for like 10 minutes during Gamma, while he was kind of no longer like telling the people how to play the game when they were already involved in it, and he just had to answer a question now and then. And so that was a really nice conversation. I just got to talk with him a bit more about the D23 experience and just, how cool the game is and all the other stuff that goes with it. But yeah, he's such a genuinely nice man. He is just like, he was built with joy. He's full of joy and love for the game and everything. So I mean, definitely find a time to talk with him, and I'm pretty sure you'll get to say more than just thank you. You may be able to say thank you a lot, because he will be very busy. But if you get a chance, I would highly recommend trying to have a couple of minutes to be able to talk with him, because you will find out that he is definitely all that you think. He's a really cool guy.
We're talking about celebrities here. Just
Right.
do you guys know what crumble cookie is? Is that a nationwide thing?
I think so.
Okay.
Like, is that like a brand?
Yeah, and they
they're
make these like
really-
giant gourmet cookies,
They're
and they're
basically
delicious.
the sprinkle cookies.
Yeah, I've heard of those. Yeah.
So on Twitter today, it said they put a post up there that said, if you were to sit down with one celebrity to eat crumble cookies, who would it be? And I tagged Steve Warner in it.
Perfect.
Sucking up to the big man.
Yep. That's funny.
Now we need to bring him a crumble cookie, I feel like.
Right.
You know what? He liked the tweet, so I'm guessing he's down for it. Maybe we could play some Lorcana over crumble cookies.
There we go.
It's too messy.
It's too messy.
Double sleeve those cards before you play with the crumble cookie. All right, so last one about Gen Con related. When do you think that we're going to have the full starter deck info?
Ooh, that is a very, very good question. I'm on the fence with this one. I don't know how much more they want to release, because their fears of all of us metagamers breaking the game wide open before it ever even hits the streets. I know they don't want that to happen. So I feel like they're probably going to wait as long as they can. That's leading a lot of people to hope that they don't get into the very first tournament on day one, so they can get a little more feedback from people, see what that Ruby Emerald deck actually looks like. I would like to think that we'll get a little bit more of the Ruby Emerald, just to put it up onto the same level as what we already have with the other two. But like I said, they want this game, everybody to be on as even a playing field as possible. So I think we might have to wait until Gen Con. Big might, but we might.
Here's my take on it. They are going to want to hype up Lorcana, and there's a whole bunch of media organizations out there that have reviewed the product, and they're probably under some embargo, like movie critics, before a movie comes out. And I think 1 week or 2 weeks before Gen Cons, like mid-July, there's just going to be a blitz of media where we will get a floodgate of information. That's my theory, and I think at that time we will get a lot of cards.
Oh, I'm not opposed to it at all. I would love the sooner the better, in my opinion, just because I want to play with as many cards as I can. I mean, also I want to study how all the cards interact in the set in its entirety, obviously. But this game has surprised me. Like, don't get me wrong, I knew that this game was going to do well, and I had complete faith in Ryan and Steve from the very beginning. I followed Ryan a little longer than I followed Steve. I was a huge fan of the Digimon game, which he had a part of. The Chronoclass system is an amazing creation for the TC or the CCG space. He does great things. So I have been, like I said, I think that I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No worries. The other thing that surprised me when we were talking, when Ryan did his premiere presentation, said that he laid the foundational work for the UFS system, which My Hero is based on, which I did not realize that. But after he laid the foundation, he moved on to something else. But his fingerprints are seen in so many different card games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I forgot that it was that he had something to do with the My Hero game too. Absolutely.
And the next thing that a lot of people are watching to see if we'll get that micro starter deck revealed is definitely that UK Games Expo on June 2nd and through 4th.
Ooh, right,
A lot of
right.
people are watching that to see if we'll get some of those reveals to bring Ruby and Emerald up to what we're seeing for the other colors.
That would be nice. It would be nice. I am definitely excited to see what else Emerald has in store for us.
So we're going to transition away from Gen Con, and I'm going to add a question here that wasn't in the show notes for you, Shawn. First, my question is about your podcast, Uncommon Cardboard. And I wanted to ask you where you got the name Uncommon Cardboard. And then secondly, I want to talk about this new series that you're starting that's all about diversity in the TCG space. What's your inspiration for that and how's it going? So you can take that one at a time. And if you need me to remind you, I can remind you. But those are my two questions.
I might need you to. It's getting kind of late here. I'm getting a little foggy.
I know. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, no, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So the name Uncommon Cardboard, I played around with a lot of different ideas for the title. Cardboard to me, I reference our all mutual love and hobby. I reference it to a lot of the people that I know in my real life that don't understand it. I kind of just tell them like, yeah, I collect shiny pieces of cardboard. That's my thing. That's what I love to do. And so I kind of took that, and I was gonna say, mythic cardboard or rare cardboard, but I felt like that was just too pretentious, pretty much. And then I realized that the word uncommon doesn't necessarily only pertain to rarity. It can mean like differences. It can mean like specialties or the things that make us who we are or things what they are, because who you are as a person is not common. It's not a common thing, you know what I mean? So I kind of just threw those terms together, and thankfully it worked rather well. I'm very happy with the title.
No, it's
And
a
then
great title.
I appreciate that very much.
What I was thinking was, you're talking about the rarity. You have common, uncommon, rare. But like you're saying, uncommon can mean anything. Like a rare card is uncommon, but hearing you talk about how that could even apply to the people that you're interviewing, that I mean, that makes it more meaningful to me.
Absolutely, yeah. And I wanted to because it's going to be interview based. All of my episodes, I will have a guest that I'm speaking with, and I kind of wanted that to reflect the name to reflect that as well, because I get to interview all of these people that come from such varying walks of life. Everybody's got their own stories, so I wanted it to reflect not only our all of our mutual love for trading card games and the community, but ourselves and each other.
And I will always have the bragging rights of being your first interview. So
Yeah, you are.
that's my
Heck yeah,
humble
buddy.
brag there. Okay, so let's talk about your diversity series. What was the inspiration and how's it going?
So I actually gotta give a little tip of the hat to Stephanie of, I don't want to say this wrong, the Illumineers. Everybody's got one that's so very close.
So true. No, you're right. It's the Illumineers.
So Stephanie, I put a little blast out on Twitter, on the Uncommon Cardboard Twitter. And I asked the community, I said, what is some things that you all would like me to cover? Because it's going to be involving the community quite a bit. A lot of the people that have put the ideas in for it, I'm planning on having them as guests on the show. So Stephanie, thank you so much. Shout out Stephanie, gave me the idea to do inclusivity in the TCG communities, which is something I don't think that gets brought up enough. And I know myself, I've always strived to be as welcoming and inclusive to everybody that wants to play, no matter what walk of life, no matter what your journey, your story. I want you to be able to be part of this community that I love, that has been so welcoming to me. I want that for as many people as possible. And I think that by being able to do a series on it and to speak with people that have been directly affected by those issues, I think that's going to be amazing exposure for that issue that we all face. And I think that will make a lot of people that don't necessarily think of it, that will make a lot of people in the moment, they might wake up and think of it like, hey, I realize now that people aren't overtly keeping other people away from my LGS, but now I see the behaviors that subvertly do that kind of behind the scenes, and the things that make people feel unwelcome without us really realizing it.
I love how you're ahead of this topic, Shawn. Already talking to Stephanie about it. I love when Jared and James got back from Gamma. One of the first things they told me when we had a chance to catch up was related to, it just shows through that Lorcana wants itself to be an inclusive TCG. They want to involve everybody and anybody. And it's left up to us as individuals at our local levels to really like pull people into that. And so I think your series is one I'm looking forward to listening to, so I can hear from people's experiences and then be able to take that and bring that to my local areas and apply that.
And that's the goal. I really hope that everybody can do that once we get this series a little more established. And get, I only have one episode published so far from that series, but I do have other interviews already on the books ready to go, so we're gonna get more of those out to everybody, definitely.
So if somebody's listening to this podcast and they are interested in sharing their stories with you, can they reach out to you on Twitter?
Absolutely. You can reach out to me at my my personal Twitter, which is at leebarbs_, and my Uncommon Cardboard, you could also DM me there. It is at Uncommon CB. It's capital C, capital B. And you can get a hold of me either of those places. You can also come and find me on the Lorcana HQ Discord. I am a mod there, and I spend quite a bit of time there.
Yeah, you're in the voice chat a lot, so that's
Yes.
where I'd probably look first. But I will say, if you have any interest in coming onto a podcast as a guest, Shawn is a great host. He puts you right at ease, and it's a great place to share your stories. So that's my plug for you right there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to share, get off your mind, Shawn?
I think we covered it. I think we covered the majority of it. Just how excited I am to go and to meet you guys. It's going to be a blast. James, you're going to be sadly missed, my friend. I thought you were going to go. This is the first time I'm hearing that you're not going to be there.
Yeah, it's devastating and sad, but can't make it. So
it's a tough subject for James.
Yeah. Yeah, but I get to go to Comic-Con every year, so I mean there is that.
That is definitely on my list of things to do as well. I've always wanted to hit conventions because of my myriad different hobbies. I love comic books, love anime, love video games, love TCGs. So definitely Comic-Con someday is on the list. I would love to cosplay, go there and cosplay. I think that would be amazing. So I'm definitely I can't wait to see your coverage of it, see what we get to see through your eyes.
You know, nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Nah. Well, I mean, we can cut this if you want, but the writer's strike and now what the upcoming possible actor strike and director strike may be affecting what happens at Comic-Con this
That's
year.
very true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. That is good to see the actors standing up for the writers, though. That is a really beautiful thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, we're all on the side of the writers and the actors and everything, but yeah, it's definitely something that's going to affect Comic-Con, which is something we definitely dearly love and cover, and it would absolutely be very, very different if all of that would disappeared.
Yeah,
at least for this year. But anyway, so I think that now that we are done with that segment, we are ready to hit our Lorcana lexicon, correct?
That is correct.
And today's word of the day is goldfishing. So what do you guys what is goldfishing, you guys?
Hold on. Do you know what goldfishing is, James?
I had to look it up.
Okay.
But I would rather someone else explain it, because I have only read the description, so I don't stand it deep in my bones.
Shawn's the TCG expert, so why don't you share with us?
So essentially what goldfishing is you sit down to play against no one. You sit down with your deck, you shuffle up, draw your hand, mulligan, all that good stuff, and you play your game plan out to completion against an opponent that will not do anything to stop you. It's kind of the only reason that I've ever used that technique, like with Magic the Gathering, is to basically make sure that I'm hitting my land drops when I need to. That's about the only. And for all of you that don't know what hitting your land drops means, it means you're playing a land every turn the way you're quote unquote supposed to when you're playing Magic the Gathering.
Right. So essentially, it's testing your deck. It's giving your deck a test drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Can I tell you, as a little kid, way back in the day when the Star Wars Decipher game was out, I played against myself more times than I care to admit. I didn't know anything about League play back then, and my brother and I played quite a bit, but I just had this appetite to play more. So I was a goldfisher from the beginning, apparently.
Me as well. Even when I was a very young player myself and I didn't actually know the term, I had done that. I think a lot of, especially younger players that don't necessarily have a community that they either know about or have access to. I think that's a big thing with especially since when we were kids, we didn't have hop on webcam games or Magic the Gathering Arena, or we didn't have all these options available to us to be able to play with somebody else no matter what time or place.
Do you need a deck for this imaginary person who's not going to do anything against you, or can you literally just come into it with your own deck and you just play through your game plan?
You only need yours.
Cool.
I have tried out I had a big lazy Susan in the middle of my table at one point, so I basically kind of set up two different hands and just kept spinning it. Playing against yourself doesn't work out the way you think it would, because you always know what you're going to do. Yeah. So it doesn't work out the way you want it to. Playing awesome. Against kind of playing against the shadow person across from you, that's definitely the way to do it.
Well, shall we hop into the news roundup?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right.
What news did we get? We have very little, but Adara, did you want to cover the reveal we got from official Lorcana this week?
Sure. So we got 6 animal cards from Lorcana officially on, I think it was Discord, Twitter, and Facebook. We already knew 2 of them. There was Pascal and Flounder on there, but we got 4 new ones in the other 4 colors, including an emerald card. So our emerald card was Iago. We had Cerberus, I think was our steel, and I cannot remember the other 2 off the top of my head.
Sergeant Tibbs.
It's Sergeant
There they are. And Timon.
Yep.
Which we had already seen his artwork on the ink pages, but we finally have the full card art, not a full art card, but the card art for Timon.
Well, just to give credit to where credit's due, these reveals were actually shown to us on thegamer.com and then subsequently shared by the Disney Lorcana account.
Yeah, so we didn't get a whole lot of information specifically from the cards. They were pretty good at covering up some of the important pieces, but it was just really cool to, at very least, see some new card art and see some of the additional characters that we're going to see in the first chapter. I think was the most exciting thing for me.
Yeah, it was kind of an underwhelming card reveal, because we only saw about half the cards, but we were able to piece together pretty much what we think the cards will be able to do.
Yeah, the detectives in Lorcana HQ were like, wait a second, the Instagram photo is slightly different than the Twitter photo, because it looks like they took stills from one of their, motion graphics that they do, the little short videos or whatever. So yeah, we got little bits of stuff on each one. And this was, as I think we mentioned recently, this was the first card reveal officially on their social medias or any article or anything since I think early April. So that was a long wait.
Yeah, Jared, didn't you post on Twitter that there's only something like 18 cards officially revealed by Lorcana?
So I went through their Twitter and they've revealed 14 on their Twitter account.
That's
And
what it
then
was.
Mushu reminded me that they had revealed one on Facebook and one on Instagram back when they did their hero ally villain reveals. So 16 of the 78 cards, which is about 20% of the cards revealed right now, which kind of surprised me. I mean, when we were at Gamma, we got 4 amethyst, 2 or 3 amber, and then the 3 foils, right? So that was 9 or
Yeah.
10 cards just from that one event. And we
Yeah.
almost spoiled as many as the official account.
Seriously,
One
yep,
event.
yep.
Wow. That's crazy, though, that almost every reveal that they've done has been through a website or a convention.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of conventions, I was poking around on social media today and saw on Instagram a couple of different people posting like these images of these tables that look like they're in people's houses. But they're Lorcana displays and they have the cards and they're in French and they even have the Mickey Mouseketeer that's not a foil. So apparently what's going on right now in France is Lorcana is going around to a bunch of local game stores and doing hands-on demos with the shop
Ooh.
owners and the players out there. The guy who runs the Lorcana France Twitter account said that he's going to be getting a demo here in a week or two, so he'll be posting about it. The other thing, and I think I'm pretty plugged into what's going on with Lorcana, but apparently this was on LinkedIn from the Ravensburger UK account. They are at a show called the Toymaster show that runs from the 16th to the 18th. So as of this recording, today's the 17th. So we're right in the middle of it. And it's just like, I had no idea. Could there be card reveals there? I don't know.
Yeah,
But then
they're
the
just-
last one, sorry, go ahead, James.
yeah, they're just randomly showing up places, and you are plugged in. You do see most of the stuff, if not first, like pretty quickly. And the fact that they're at a show that nobody knew about is crazy.
It
Right.
just goes to show you Ravensburger's got a couple of tricks up their sleeve still, you know what I mean?
And then the last one is one Adara talked about is the UK Game Expo, which runs from June 2nd to the 4th. And I know we have people who are going to be at that expo. So if there are any spoilers, I imagine you're going to want to keep an eye on social media. It's June 2nd.
Absolutely. I do want to add also with the card reveals, seeing Timon, love it. Love Timon. He's always been one of my favorite characters. And what is he, Grub Wrangler or something like that? Isn't that his
Grub
name?
Wrestler, I think.
Love it. I love that. That is so great. And then to see a deep cut like Sergeant Tibbs from 101 Dalmatians, he's my favorite character from that movie. The Dalmatians aren't my favorite in that movie. Sergeant Tibbs is my favorite, and to see that he's even though he's most likely only going to be the one costing 2/2 vanilla that all the colors seem to have, I still think it's great to see a smaller character get that kind of representation so early in the game.
Yeah.
They're having some really good deep pulls on these cards.
I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to see more. I mean, like we just talked about, officially we only have like 20%. Unofficially we have like what, 48 or something like that. Or no, it's got to be more than that at this point. Yeah, no.
The percentage?
I'm bad at numbers.
The percentage is still like at 35% or something.
Right. That's what it was.
We have 78 of 240, so whatever,
Right.
or 204, so whatever that is. About 30%.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
We got a ways to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
All right.
excited.
Should we move into Jeopardy?
It's time for Jeopardy,
Ooh.
folks.
Adara, do you want to ask the questions?
I can. Who am I asking the questions to?
So I asked Shawn ahead of time if he'd be willing to be a participant in Jeopardy, hence why we have all the questions and answers on our show notes here. I tried to take it a little bit easy, but I think there's a couple tricky ones in there.
I think there is.
I'm definitely a TCG player first and a Disney fan second. So we'll see how this goes.
You'll just get a couple of groans. It'll be okay.
Right.
All right. So our first question is, this is the color of Alice's dress in Alice in Wonderland.
Do I have to answer in the form of a question?
That is how Jeopardy works. Yes.
Okay. What is blue?
Ding!
Yeah.
Blue is the correct answer. See, you got this.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So for 200, the character Flower in the movie Bambi is this kind of animal.
What is a skunk?
Ding! Awesome. You are 2 for 2. You doubted
Yeah.
yourself too much. All right. For 300, this is the name of Lady Tremaine's cat in Cinderella.
I have no idea. I will admit I don't. I honestly didn't even know Lady Tremaine's name before the game came out, or before her card came out. Honestly,
Jared's trying to give a little hint with the little horns.
Is it demon?
You're
Close.
you're on the right track. What's another name for Satan?
Beelzebub?
Starts with L.
Close.
Starts with an L. Lucifer? The
There
cat's
we
name
go.
is the cat's name is Lucifer?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's dark.
I mean, it's a pretty dark story if
That's
you think
fair.
about
That's a fair
it.
point. That's a fair point. Oh my gosh.
That was the best progression ever. All right, for 400, this is the Disney character impersonation Genie does after Aladdin promises to set him free. I would not have known this.
I know. This was the one that I was thinking is going to be the difficult one.
It might be gotten by context, though.
The Disney character impersonation that he does.
Yep. So Genie impersonates
Right,
different characters.
yeah.
So this is a
I'm trying
Disney
to run
character.
through them I'm trying to run through them in my head right now.
The context of Aladdin promises to set him free.
Is it Dumbo? Is that a bad guess? That might be a bad guess.
That was a good guess.
What is Dumbo? Or who is Dumbo? Oh, I see. I see.
What?
James gave me a little hint there.
What is the answer to the hint, Shawn?
I'm pretty sure he was saying, "What is Pinocchio?"
Yes.
Who is Pinocchio? Well, I guess he is a what before he becomes a boy, right?
Technically, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would not have known that. There's no way I would have remembered that.
I think Pinocchio might be the Disney movie that I have seen the least of, because I'll admit this wholeheartedly. When I was a kid, it scared me. That movie was real spooky when I was a kid.
Yeah. All right. Last one for 500. This is Mulan's male name while in the army.
I know this one too. Oh,
I know how much you love Mulan.
oh my gosh, I know. It's right on the tip of my tongue too.
Hey, Jared, do you remember?
Is it? It's not Shoe, is it? No, I was gonna
What,
say. I think.
what was the very first video game ever?
Pong.
Yeah.
I
That is the
forgot
very
about
first.
that.
You knew that one. That's not the answer.
Oh my gosh.
What's the other word that goes with Pong?
Oh, it's ping. Oh,
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
It is
right.
ping.
That's right. And you know what? I knew that it was like a very stereotypical Asian sounding name too. Like I knew that. I was gonna say Wong, but I was like, I'm only thinking of that because I watched
Strange.
Doctor Strange really recently. Exactly.
Both would have been good guesses.
Right. Yeah. That was a lot of fun though. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you for participating.
Yeah,
It's always hard to
Yes.
gauge. Like, I knew the Pinocchio one would be hard, but it's always difficult to gauge
He
difficulty.
only does like what 48 million impressions in Aladdin.
Right. That was a good one though. That was a real good one. I remembered a lot more of the scenes than I thought I would.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Shawn, how can people find you online?
You can always find me at the Lorcana HQ Discord. I'm a mod there, hanging out all the time. My DMs are open. You can at me if you have any issues there. I'm also on Twitter quite a bit at leebarbs, LEEBARBS _ all lowercase. And then Uncommon Cardboard's Twitter is at UncommonCB, capital C, capital B.
Perfect. And if you liked what you heard here, you can subscribe to our podcast, follow us on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Citizens of Lorcana. Adara, where can they find you? And then James, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Discord at ochem102, or just look for my username Adara.
And you can find me everywhere online at Dan Regal. And as mentioned, you can find me every week, mostly on Tuesday nights, live on the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog podcast, SDConcast. You can find it on YouTube and all of the podcast platforms that you are used to, including Spotify and all that kind of stuff. And I guess that's it. So thank you again, Shawn, for coming on the show, and Adara for helping us host, and all of you for joining us and listening. We'll see you next time.
It was my pleasure. Thanks, guys.